if this guy's shelling up, it'll show who's going after it and who's just stalling it out, bro. So I'm not a staller. I sub motherfuckers, so I don't give a damn. I've been subbing people my whole career. You see in my matches, I'll go tournaments, nine wins, 9 submissions. So by any means necessary, they might take this as a stalling, but I've never stalled a day in my life. So me going in and breaking these kids and making them quit and giving me an arm or giving me a choke because they can't last and they can't stay in the pressure, that's on them. I go in for the kill. So I'm not worried about that at all. I just got to do it a little faster in the 6-minute format. So I'm excited to go out there and show these guys that I'm exciting, and the pressure I put on these guys, you're going to see a lot of your favorite grapplers break. I go for it. So I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to be on the show to show that.
What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Esparza, coming to you with another great installment of the Grappling Hour. I hope you're having a good day. If not, get ready. You're about to have one. We have an excellent guest, somebody who's been on our show before. He is sitting under, my God, an assortment of gold medals, but we'll come back to him in a second. We'll let him kind of sort through and count how many he has. I want to actually, that's a great jelly bean game. That's like one of those games you play at a party where you go count how many medals are up on this thing, because I feel like if somebody took a screenshot right now, you'd probably still be off on how many medals are in the background of that gym. But before we get back to it, a couple quick reminders. First and foremost, if you like our show, and I hope that you do, check us out at patreon.com/grappling hour. What do you get if you go to patreon.com? Well, you get our interviews 30 days before anybody else. And just for a few extra dollars, you get extra bonus content that's not available anywhere else. So you get tape studies with the athletes going over their prominent matches with me. You also get the opportunity to see people roast my competition footage, which I'm told is our most popular segment for some reason. Couldn't tell you why. And you get extra bonus episodes that aren't available anywhere else. So check those out. Patreon.com/grappling hour. Additionally, friends, you can also get yourself a Grappling Hour hoodie or a shirt. It is starting to get cold in some regions. You want to stay warm if you're going to compete. Put on one of the Grappling Hour hoodies. Go to rafasparza.com/merch. If you go there, you can pick that up. There's a combo for the two of them, and we'll send it on out to you. Keep yourself warm and styling and profiling when you are either out on the streets or going to compete in your local tournaments. Last couple reminders, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I just put some interviews up there today. So that is going to be replaying and resharing a lot of the interviews from the extensive Grappling Hour vault. As our guest said today, he's like, man, you've been interviewing a lot of people. I do. Every season we do at least 48 interviews, and that's just for interviews. We also do Running the Gauntlet, which is a little game show that we do. And we also do the bullpen with our friends, Kevin Sherrill and Tim Freeman, that we do every Friday in the afternoon. All right. I think that's it. Join our Discord as well at Grappling Hour. All right. Our guest. You've seen him. You've definitely seen him. Let's put it this way. This man never stops working. I see him working, hustling, driving everywhere. If he's not competing, he's refereeing. If he's not refereeing, he's driving back to go teach. If he's not teaching, he's taking another class. Everywhere. This dude is always consistently on his grind. Even so much to the point where after he won a qualifier for the PGF, this man then drove from Las Vegas to Arizona to serve as a referee. And just in a few months, well, actually just 1 month, less than a month's time, he will be driving back to Las Vegas from the confines of Santa Ana, California, to compete in the upcoming 7th season of the PGF. I am happy to bring on the last qualifier winner, and in epic fashion, a qualifier winner that definitely made some history just a week ago in Vegas. Please welcome back to the show your friend and mine, one Dory Aoun. Dory, how are you doing, sir?
Let's go. What's up, Rob? It's good to be back. Thanks for that
It's good.
intro.
Well, you're welcome. You did all the work. But the weird part about the intros is people think that I'm making stuff up, but I just read the resume of what you've been doing. So I have to ask this. I know it felt good to win. I saw the expression on your face. I saw you let out the scream. But when did it hit you that the celebration was only going to be for a little bit of time because you had to get on the road and then immediately start driving to Jiu-Jitsu World League to then serve as a ref?
Yeah, literally, man. So we'll talk about the controversy within the qualifier later, but the whole time in the back of my mind, I was like, I need to win this so my drive is smooth because I'm going to be pissed for 5 hours driving to Arizona going to work. So I'm like, I need to get this done right now.
I mean, yes, you do allude to a little bit of something happening. I will get to that, but I do want to kind of capture first the feeling of being the first person to fight their way back into the bracket, because most of the times when they do a PGF qualifier, a person who's gone through what is referred to as the consolation bracket has never come back to win the qualifier outright. You did that. So what did it feel like to accomplish that, especially given the tenseness of the possibility of not being able to win that qualifier?
Yeah, definitely. So they told me when I got sent to the qualifying bracket, um, they were like, "Hey, man, no one's ever came back from the losers bracket. You can be the first one in history." And I was like, "All right, say less. Let's make it. It's gonna make the story more interesting." Because we drove over that morning at 5 a.m. We drove there. I was overweight a couple pounds, and we hit the gym, made the weight, and then the scrap started. And I actually did a YouTube. I'm editing it right now. We did like a vlog for the day of the tournament and stuff, and I just the whole time I was saying it's going to add to the story. It's going to add to the story, and at not one moment did I think I wasn't going to be able to pull it off, and I knew I was going to go home or go to Arizona as the qualifying champion.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Not that I didn't believe you had a shot. I thought you were one of the favorites in there for a particular reason, and I'll get to in a minute. But there were some good folks in that tournament. However, I got confused because I was watching it at home on Smooth Comp, which meant I had no context. I literally just had the results coming in my way. And I very casually was keeping an eye on it. So I saw the video. I felt like that would fill in some gaps. It did, but not necessarily all of them. The one question I want to ask you to begin with is, how did you find yourself into that consolidation bracket? Like, how did you go to the consolation bracket? Because to me, I didn't know if it was overtime or they just went to decision. It was very hard to keep up with it without seeing something visually. So what happened there?
Yeah, perfect. So let's get into it. So what had happened was I had one match. So let's start from the beginning. So my first match was a bigger guy, pretty tough. We had a good match. First match is always kind of tough for me. I get going later in the rounds. I like getting that second wind, or towards the end of the first match, I start feeling better, you know. So the first match, I was kind of slow playing a little bit, and I think the ref kind of got a image of me like, oh, maybe this guy's kind of stalling it out, right? Because like the first 2 minutes, I'm kind of standing up, getting hand fighting, just getting my warm up going, you know. And then I turned it up, got to the guy's back a few times. I didn't get the finish, but I was all over him, right? So I move on to the second match. We had a tough back and forth, and he had some exchanges. I had some exchanges, but in like the last 2 minutes, I really turned it up on him, and he started to fade. I ended up getting the decision in that one. And then in the third match, what was the third match? Third match was against this Brazilian dude from Vegas, and we had a scrap. It was really back and forth. He had some attacks, I had some attacks, but I was pretty dominant in that match. And then in the final, this was supposed to be the final, and we both, me and my opponent, both went into the match with 0 losses. For the qualifier, you need 2 losses to be eliminated, double elimination. So in this match, going off of the first match where the ref kind of saw me as kind of slow playing, he was really quick to give me a stalling penalty. So in like the first 30 seconds of the match, while I'm going forward with the underhook out of bounds, I get a stalling call, which was pretty unfair. I ended up taking the guy down after that multiple times, got to his back a few times, passed his guard, had a submission attempt with like 2 minutes left. I had a tight head and arm that I was trying to set up, but he was kind of, when you're kind of beating a guy really good and they're kind of out of the match, but they just don't want to get submitted. So they kind of shell up and try to kill the time. That's kind of how the match was going. So it was extremely one way, and I was pretty dominant in that finals match. So the guy's just trying to shell me off and let the time run out. And then I find out I'm about to get my hand raised. I'm like, hell yeah, I just won this qualifier. I'm pretty fired up. He raises the other guy's hand, and I'm like, what happened here? That was like completely dominant. There's no way I lost that match. And then I didn't realize I was like late to the rules meeting, and I realized that it was a -1 for that stalling call that he gave me. Oh, and after the stalling call, the guy starts on my back. I escape the back, reverse the position, and dominate. I end up losing the match, and I'm like, wait, what just happened? Like, there's no way. And then I talked to B-Mac. I'm like, so you're telling me this guy just won the qualifier? I didn't even know it was double elimination yet, so I thought I was out. And I talked to B-Mac. I'm like, you're telling me this guy just won the qualifier off of getting dominated and off of a -1 in the first 30 seconds of a match when I wasn't even really stalling. The ref was basing that off of like my first match. He was quick to give me that stall. I was like, so that's why in the highlight video you can kind of see me talking to B-Mac. I was just kind of expressing like, man, I was completely dominant. I don't feel like I should have lost that match. Then he told me it was double elimination. So I was like, oh, all right, I'm still gonna win this thing. B-Mac was very open, and he was listening to what I had to say, because sometimes if you get in a dispute at like IBJJF, they just shut you off. They don't even listen to you. And B-Mac agreed with me, and he kind of was like, yeah, man, I get it. That was unfortunate. That's basically he won off of a rule set, off of a rule like malfunction, So after talking it out, he's like, look, man, you go back to the losers bracket, you fight the Brazilian dude, then you have to come back and fight the guy you just lost to in the final. And you have to beat him 2 times because he has 0 losses and I had 1. So if he beats me once, I'm out. I need to beat him 2 times. So I fight the Brazilian dude, get him out of there, pretty dominant the whole match. And then I go to the final and I fight the guy that I lost to in a penalty. This was actually a pretty back and forth match, man. It was a close call. I had some takedowns. I had some attacks. He had a good Darce attempt. I was on his back, pretty dominant. I took him down like 3 or 4 times. I got to his back, but that was a good scrap. That was a close match. I got that match. B-Mac was like, hey, the ball never lies. You won one, or he won one, you won one. Whatever happens in this best out of 3 match, that's the winner that goes to PGF. So I'm like, all right, I already had to fight 2 extra matches and scrap my way back into this final. I had to come from the losers bracket, and bro, it's nothing new to me. Right when he told me just go back to the losers bracket and go back to the final, I was like, this is gonna make my story sweeter. I've been an underdog my whole life. Like, I'm ready to scrap my way and win this shit and make it interesting. So going into that final, I was like, it's time. Let's turn up. After this, I can focus about everything else. Let it all out right now. I don't need to save any energy. Let's go get this done. So take down, get to the back, finish, and then you saw the celebration where I let it all out, because a lot of the dudes at the PGF were talking so much, bro. I don't know what was going on. These dudes were talking. And every time I beat them, I just keep my mouth shut, because I knew I don't like talking until the tournament's over, man. Like Kobe mentality, like job's not finished. So get to the next match, finish the tournament, victorious, and then you can celebrate. But I never celebrate before the tournament's over. So all these dudes were yapping the whole time, talking trash, and it just felt good to shut them all up and win it and punch my ticket to the PGF World Championships on November 3rd to the 8th.
Well, congratulations on that. If there's one thing I know about you, I alluded to this earlier where I said I think this kind of works to your favor, which is you really have a good gas tank. Half of the stuff I see on your Instagram is building that gas tank. That's not even talking about your acumen as a jiu-jitsu artist. I just see that you put a lot of hard work into your gas tank to make sure you don't get tired, you don't get fatigued. And imagine my surprise that the first clip I see is of an opponent talking trash to you, being like, hey, you're going to get tired, or something to that effect. And I just thought, oh my God, that's like the one thing I wouldn't say about you. I have so many other jokes I would try to do about you. I'd be like, yo, bud, I'm seeing a reflection of that myself from that head. Like, I would go a different route. But when I saw him being like, yo, I'm going to get you tired, I go, not the top of my list, but I feel like a competitive edge of people talking back and forth. What I can tell you is this. PGF, people don't know what that specific grind feels like. Yes, the trials are very difficult because it is double elimination. So there are some times from your opponent's perspective, you think, I've put this guy away, job's done, right? Not necessarily the fact. You have to beat them, and it's since essentially a double elimination tournament. So that means you have to beat them twice. And in your case, that worked to your advantage because we saw you get even better as the day progressed. And especially when you got that finality of finishing your opponent with the choke, there was no talking at that point. It was indisputable. You really punched your ticket, and there wasn't going to be a decision that was going to hand it to you. So you did leave the day on a major high, but you had a lot of matches that went for a long period of time, which builds up ride time, which builds up the amount of time that you're competing. So you had probably in the neighborhood of about an hour long worth of competition time on that one day.
Yeah, man, it's true. That's true. That's the thing, man. When you're dominating these guys and they shell up and make it hard to submit them, it might take a little longer. You might have to go to the end of the match. So I've been working a lot on my finishing mechanics, and I'm looking to submit a lot more people at the major tournament. But going back to like the grind and the gas tank, like I started jiu-jitsu about 6 years ago, man. So a lot of these guys I'm competing against are like 10, 15 years in the game. So I always told myself, like, all right, I don't care what you know. I'm going to come in and break you. And let's see if your technique is good when you're tired or when you're gassed out or when doubt starts kicking in. Like, bro, I never had shit, so I'm used to that. Like, I'm used to shit not going my way. So I'm just going to keep going. I made it this far, and I ain't stopping. I'm just getting started. So I focus a lot on effort and attitude. I really vouch on that. So to my kids that come in sometimes, I'm like, hey man, what can you control, right? You might not be I don't tell them like you're not the most talented and most gifted, right? But if you're not the most talented or most gifted, you got to work for it. Come in with ready to give your best effort and with a good attitude, ready to work, and you can progress that way. And you can get to the top with just those two things, because a lot of these guys that are gifted and talented, they never learn how to work hard. And, working hard always beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So that's always been my approach in this jiu-jitsu game, and I'm excited. I'm finally starting to reap the reward after 6 years of grinding, putting 6 to 8 hours a day on the mats, and it is what it is, bro. I'm here to make a statement and put my name on the map.
Good on you, man. And I have to say, as somebody who is one of these people who does this, it's a little bit of an attack here, sir. I saw this whole thing, and I was like, hey, man, I realize now Dory hasn't rolled with
That's
me.
Your go-to?
Hey, it's not my go-to. It's things have gone wrong. And when things have gone wrong, people refer to it as raft guard. And I like to tell people this. First of all, you're young and athletic. My whole thing is I'm like, I'm rolling with everybody. And I mean everybody. So it's not just like people who are my age who I can probably have very competitive rolls with. There are moments where you get taken down and you go, well, they passed my guard. Okay. We got to figure this out. So it's not a stall. It's all right, I know how to capitalize on any mistake that you do. It's dangerous. Right. It's risky. But the problem that I have is I tell my students, I'm like, don't try to do that. Like, whenever you see me do it, just understand I'm old and I've got a certain thing that works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. Nonetheless, I still try to be somewhat offensive to it. But because people do the roasting of it, I go, it is the mocking of submission only rule sets that makes it lackadaisical in a competitive field where you don't want to see that, you know? So I think that that's part of the reason why you get some of these people saying it. Nonetheless, I saw a lot of great work from the guys in there. There were some great names. You definitely put the hurt on a lot of those guys, at least just from not only gas tank, but just pressure. Like, you're very good at this implementing your game in a way that kind of throws them off at times. And so it's an equal frustration, which means if that match is going on that long, they also didn't finish you. So what I can tell you is this, though. I'm glad you experienced it just in this realm, because that stalling call, one, is going to get more aggressive at the major tournament. But two, and this is where I want you to fully know what's going on, sometimes, because we're widening the sport here, and credit to BMAC and his incredible crew of people, but people in the comment sections, because it's getting wider, are now getting dumber when they respond. So you will hear those comments. You will hear some of these people coming after whatever style it is you have. Doesn't matter what you do, they always think the opposite. The good news for you is I know that you are branded well with a good mentality. You know, if you mentioned playing like Kobe didn't give a shit if people booed him. He had a job to do. So I feel like if you take that perspective and do what you do best, you're going to have a great time. But I can tell you, as somebody who has been there, we were seeing people insult people worse than we were roasting them. The difference is they didn't know that we were friends with most of the people in the tournament. So it's not me sitting there being like, yo, Kevin Sherrill, you suck. It's like, well, you got called on stalling so a lot, so we're going to give you some shit about that. But then you'd see people feel like they could talk to them very freely. So that is something that I do want to prepare you for, because even in the comment section there, I was just like, what are people talking? Like, yeah, dude, it's hard to submit people.
I'm not a staller, bro. So, I mean, if this guy's shelling up, it'll show who's going after it and who's just stalling it out, bro. So I'm not a staller. I sub motherfuckers, so I don't give a damn. I've been subbing people my whole career. You see in my matches, I'll go tournaments, 9 wins, 9 submissions. So by any means necessary, they might take this as a stalling, but I've never stalled a day in my life. So me going in and breaking these kids and making them quit and giving me an arm or giving me a choke because they can't last and they can't stay in the pressure, that's on them. I go in for the kill. So I'm not worried about that at all. I just got to do it a little faster in the 6-minute format. So I'm excited to go out there and show these guys that I'm exciting, and the pressure I put on these guys, that you're going to see a lot of your favorite grapplers break. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And by any means, that is not my style, and you know that, and you've seen a lot of my matches. I go for it, so I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to be on the show to show that. And there's a lot of exposure, and there's a lot of new eyes. It's like kind of like a different community. I've been competing IBJJF a lot. Kind of this no-gi sub-only world is a little different, so I'm excited to get my name more out there in this audience, because a lot of guys on the IBJJF circuit, like that culture of jiu-jitsu knows who I am. I'm excited to show it to this new audience.
Good to hear, man. And I'm glad that you have a good perspective for it. It will definitely be something that I think day 1, day 2, you'll experience. I mean, I felt it right when people were getting drafted. Like, there was something about being treated like professionals that elevated it, that made you feel great. But then immediately in the comment section, I was just like, okay, these guys have no idea who these people are. I don't even know if they could handle 2 seconds in a room with you guys. So as a little gag on our show, on our pre-show, we would take some of the comments that we either thought were out of pocket or were just making us laugh. And we're like, well, we're going to be watching the comment section because these are our homies too. And nobody makes fun of our brothers but us. So you guys do what you do. But I did tell you, I'm like, I will be roasting you. So I have to say that up front so that you're not surprised when you go home and see your Sports Center of you being on Sports Center and us going like, hey man, I'm going to talk about my boy Dory real quick, but I got 4 different jokes that we're going to do. So just know that up front, and then we'll bring you on the post show at some point. And I
That's
think
a good element. That's a good element, though. That's a good addition to the show, man. See what these bozos have to say, the keyboard warriors that never did shit in their life.
It's just, it's the reason why it's just so wild to me is that I spend so much time developing jokes that I think are playful, but never quite on the brink of being an asshole. And I think they're, you want to have a little bit of an edge and invite people to laugh. And there's always truth in laughter. So I think it's a fine line. I realize that other people just don't take the nuance. They just go like, blah, word vomit. And I go, there's no nuance to it. Just saying you suck isn't funny.
No,
Coming up with a funny way to do it.
You got to be creative with it, Come at me, bro. Come at me. Bring me on the show. Let's talk some trash. I know you want to talk about this shiny head right here.
Hey, I'm just telling you, that's the first place I go because I just thought to myself, I'm like, I mean, he's pretty good at jiu-jitsu. I don't really have too much here, and I like you a lot. So it's not like a shit ton of things that I would be making fun of or insulting that are mean-spirited.
I'm ready for it. Let's do it. I like to talk a little trash and have some fun with it, too. So I'm all about it, man. It's
good, man.
When you're on this daily grind, man, you got to have fun with it because otherwise you burn out and you're just like, why? Why am I even doing this, So having some fun with it and not taking yourself too serious all the time is the way to go for sure.
I mean, here's the good news. I see you enjoying yourself. I see you, sometimes you'll put on an Instagram live and, you'll be enjoying a night out with the boys or going out with the lady. And you know what I mean? Like you have fun. And that I think is a nice missing element in there, which by the way, since we last talked, you not only got engaged, you got married. Congratulations on that. You got a black belt. Congratulations on that. Like a lot of stuff has taken place since we've last talked to each other. So I felt like this nice PGF win is just furthering that list of nice little life achievements that I think are worth acknowledging. So congrats to you, sir.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, man. I feel like just the harder I've been working, man, life's been getting better. And I'm blessed for that. Since the last time we talked, I think I double golded purple belt Nogi Worlds, got my brown belt. We talked about me doing the gauntlet. Yes. That year I also So that year I got married. So probably 3 months after that, I got engaged and then got married the same week. We didn't waste no time. And then after that, won Nogi Worlds at brown belt, got my black belt, and then just been competing all year at black belt. And then I won some opens, won some smaller stuff, and then this was I think the biggest win so far at black belt this year. And I just been competing, grinding, and we opened up our academy here, so coaching a lot and just giving everything for the jiu-jitsu lifestyle. My wife's a brown belt jiu-jitsu. She competes a lot too, and we're just doing everything together and enjoying this life. So when we go to these tournaments and we win or lose, man, we go out, we enjoy our time, we go have some dinner, maybe step out, because we're grinding all the time. So sometimes it's nice to relax a little bit and just count our blessings and enjoy the moment. So it's been good, bro. Just trying to keep it going, and I'm hoping this is just the beginning of a beautiful life.
See, this is how I know your competitive spirit, because it's a mix of maybe you're having a night out in the town and you're just kind of showing the transition of getting in the car and going from one place to another. But I do notice a consistent thing when you go live. And this is how I know we're not that different of people. but that you indulge random challenge matches. Because sometimes I see it at your gym, your home academy there, and you just put it on, and then all of a sudden I hear all the people who are in audience like screaming like there's a big super fight going on, and I go, oh, okay. Okay, somebody said something out of pocket because it feels like it's after hours or this is a special challenge match. I tuned in one time, it was a hotel room, and I saw two of your boys going at it, and I just go, he's just roasting his guys. And I thought to myself, I'm like, I feel like you indulge if it gets too trash talky, like, well, I got a phone right here. You guys settle business.
Exactly, man. I'm an instigator, man. So when people are beefing, I'm like, oh, really? You're gonna let them say that to you? Okay, let it. We got a mat right here. We got a hotel room, jiu-jitsu style, with like 7 people in it, 2 air mattresses. This is a perfect layout. This is better than CGI pit. Let's just run it right here, sub only. And dude, we just get on there. All the buddies get on the live and start talking trash, and we have a good time with it. And it's fun to watch the next day or the next morning and just laugh at it, you know? So I think coming up in like American sports, we talk a lot more shit, and we're used to that, you know? And jiu-jitsu, it's like more respect and, you know, but American sports like football and basketball, you talk so much shit and you're used to it. So we just have fun with it. And a lot of my friends and at my gym, we're not that super like traditional gym. We like to have a good time and bring the hype, talk shit, and you know, and no one takes themselves too seriously. If they do, they get their feelings hurt. But at the end of the day, it all comes from a good place. So we're all good buddies, and when people are talking, we like to set up some super fights.
No, I understand. And I feel like the one detriment that people may not understand is you have mats available to you in a lot of different areas. So you're very quick to be like, oh, no, we can just go in there. We got a spot. We'll take care of this right now. And when I thought that wouldn't be the case in a hotel room and I saw your boys go down, I was like, I don't, dude, maybe when I was younger, I didn't give a shit. But now I'm like, there's no way I'm doing anything unless there's mats. Like,
Right.
I think back to I remember at some point even wrestling with people at parks and shit and being like, fuck you, dude, this is fine. And like getting it done there. Now I'm like, no, I have a schedule. I'm a grown ass adult. You can come find me, sign a waiver. It'll be fun. Just I got shit to do, so you come find me. We're not doing this here. So when I saw that going on, I go, well, you know, look like an opportune time, if any, to be like, hey, everybody, you want to watch this? We're just gonna make fun of them. So kudos to you on that. But yes, tell me a little bit about your academy that you've built out for youth, because I see you helping not just people work out at your gym, because right now you're actually inside of the gym that a lot of people go to do a lot of workouts and a lot of lifting. You do a lot of calisthenics and running and just a great program there. But you've also added a jiu-jitsu program for youth. Where did that come from, and how is that going so far, sir?
Man, it's been awesome, man. So yeah, I've always had the home gym in my garage. We call it the Tiger's Den, where I do all the strength and conditioning for my athletes and also just general fitness. I've been a personal trainer for almost 12 years, 13 years. So this has been like this has been my business since day one. And so all my clients that I train here in the garage. Now in the back of my house, we have a big room. So I was like, you know what? We had a roommate move out, so we moved into the room and we matted our whole back room. So we're just running everything from home, and I want to eventually have my own location, of course. So right now we're just building up some students, nice and slow. We're in no rush because we're still focused heavily on our own careers, me and my wife. But we're teaching all these places, and we're like, man, you know what? I think it's time we start trying to build and have our own thing one day. So right now we're doing 2 classes per day, Monday through Thursday, and dude, we have some awesome kids, and we're just trying to, you know, just trying to show them that jiu-jitsu can be fun, and while they're doing like a healthy activity, they get to learn a really cool skill. We're not really pushing like a competition team or anything right now. Right now, we're just trying to show the love of jiu-jitsu and make them grow a liking to it, because my perspective on jiu-jitsu for the kids is if they really want to pursue jiu-jitsu, let them make the decision to pursue jiu-jitsu. I'm not gonna drive it down their throat. Hey, you gotta train all day every day. Like, no, if you want to do it, you'll do the extra work. But it's not my job as a coach to force you to do anything. So right now, I'm just trying to make them like it, you know, so that way, if they grow a liking to the sport, then they can pursue it when they're older. Right now, it's still early. I see too many parents and coaches like just making their kids not like the sport. They're just making them do it too much. Like, dude, they're so young. Let them get a little skill here and there. But let them enjoy coming and seeing me and my wife every day. And we have a good we have good relationships with our kids. We have a lot of fun with them, and we get our job done too, though. We really focus on discipline as well. But they know that if they come in and work hard right from the start, hey, we're going to have more time for games and activities at the end of class. If not, that privilege is taken away. So we're also teaching them a lot about, how life works. If you work hard now, you get benefits later. But if you don't get the benefits. So you don't get the reward. So it's been fun, man. We're growing slowly, and we're not in a rush to grow and do all that right now. But the kids that are in front of us, we're really giving them a lot of our attention, and trying to just let them have a safe place to where they can express themselves on the mats freely with no pressure. Just train, have fun. It's been awesome, man. It's been a fun experience stepping into like the coaching world.
Absolutely, man. And I love the video that you put up where you were talking to some of your teammates for a class that you were running after the PGF, which is what would I have been if I had not won? And that's something I go over so much with people who compete, because I want them to have that drive and focus and try to win, but nobody tells you how to lose. Like, nobody tells you what happens if you take an L, because it's going to be inevitable. It's just, you don't know what you're going to be like if that is it. And if you define yourself only by your wins, not only do you withhold the ability to get better, but it'll drive you crazy. And if you don't know how to take that crazy and reshape it and reform it, then you become detrimental to further progress. So what I saw from you explaining that to people was, yeah, you definitely want to go out there, do the best you can as an athlete, and represent who you are, but always know that the defining of who you are is more how you practice your craft. So I felt like that was something that I thought was a cool aside to give to that. And, to your credit about working with students who are very young, the best people I can see make it happen for youth is always those who combine that element of play with the hard work, that sometimes they don't know they're hardworking, because you're making it so fun that they want to learn the technique, that by the end of it, they have just played and they've just gotten good traits that can serve them in the long term as becoming adults, healthy eating habits, healthy lifestyle. So I feel like that's a really good thing to be fundamentally teaching them. However, I'm pretty sure when I see those kids doing about 100 chin-ups, I'm going to be super jealous and be like, hey kids, I don't even do that. So I'm not going to lie to you and tell you like, that's for everybody.
Right. No, yeah, I totally agree with that, man. I totally agree with that. That's definitely my approach. Definitely more process orientated than outcome orientated. Just give your best, man, every day. Focus on your routine, and the outcome will come. Don't focus on the outcome. Focus on the process. Do the right things every day, and you'll get every outcome you ever dreamed of.
So let's talk about this. You are in the process of getting ready now for the PGF. So what is this next month going to look like for you? Because we're just short of about 30 days out from it starting. So what does the preparation look like for you, a guy who already trains pretty intensely to begin with?
Yeah, man, exactly. Not much changes, honestly. Everyone always says camp this, camp that. I feel like I've been in camp my whole life. I just train every day, all day, man. So um, morning morning lift, morning practice, night practice every day. Whether it's a lift one day, run the next day. I do some type of like strength and conditioning, whether it's a run or a lift. And then I do 2 practices every day. And then in between, I teach my students and I train people. So I'm working all day, bro, every day, 6 to 10 p.m., 6 a.m., 10 p.m. every day. And I'm just, I know it's going to pay off, man. I've gotten some good results over the last 6 years. And I know that if I just keep this going and keep the focus on the goal, I'm going to accomplish everything I want. So nothing really changes. I've been in camp forever.
That does seem very accurate just from the very casual looks I keep on you on your social media. I want to ask this. The PGF is a unique experience. Obviously, we mentioned the fact that there's a draft, but there's also an element of team and an element of coaches. So have you looked at the coaches? And you don't have to say which one, but is there a coach that you would like to be under? Because those things start to matter once you get to that dance. And it is very interesting to see who gets paired up with whom. And sometimes the coach you think you're going to get is not necessarily the coach you do get.
Right, man. Yeah, that's a tricky one, man, because I started in the gi. I would say like the first 2 years of doing jiu-jitsu was just gi, like zero no gi, because we had no gi on Thursdays and Saturdays at my gym, and Thursdays I had school, and Saturdays I was working doubles on the weekends. So I didn't get to show up to any no gi classes. So coming up, I studied a lot of Audrey Gracie, and seeing him that he's one of the coaches. I've actually watched a lot of his game and matches and studied him. So just off the top of my head, man, I mean, he's one of the goats. Not disrespecting any of the other coaches, but just for me personally, he's one of the coaches that I spent the most time studying.
That is fair. Conversely, have you figured the part where maybe Hodger may be coaching against you at some point?
Yeah, that's true. Well, hopefully I beat his guy, and then he knows who I am, and then I can get a picture with him after.
It's going to probably be similar to the way I think you approach Jeff Glover at the end, because you are somebody who had a good history with Jeff Glover in terms of competing at Money on the Mat. And then there he is coaching his guy against you at the qualifiers. And credit, by the way, to Andy, because I was very impressed by his game as well, like especially from the clips I was seeing. I figured it would be a grind. I figured it would be interesting, and he was putting away some really good talent. So what did that feel like with that exchange with Jeff that I did see on that video between the two of you guys?
Jeff's a legend, man. He's one of one, and just it was like I was joking with him, man. He's always been supporting my career, like since Blue Belt Money on the Mat. I think I did like every one that he did to try to make some money during COVID, and I was messing with him like, man, you switched up. Now you're going against me, and I was giving him a hard time. But he's like, this is the rare time I'm rooting against you, Dory, and I'm like, I know, man. And Jeff giving like that type of support to a blue belt coming up at the time, and anytime I posted like a win or something, he'd always comment and show love, and that was really cool because from a legend of the sport like that to be showing love to like a up and comer was motivating, and it showed his character as a person. He's super humble and he's a good dude. So after I won against his student, which was really tough, he's doing great work with the student. And after I got the win against him, I was giving him crap. I was like, "Hey man, I heard you coaching against me the whole time, but your dog was rooting for me." It was just like something funny. We had a good time with it.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like a coach that has the time to also hold a tiny dog and also be coaching against you. It really does venture into evil villain status in your hero story where you go, dude, can you at least put the dog down? Like, why did the dog have to be here? The dog's against me too. This feels unfair.
It's this little cute ass dog, bro. It's like this big. He holds it in like a little bag on his stomach. I'm like, dude, I want to fight that little dog, bro.
But I
No,
laughed because
it's,
I did
man,
know that you were involved in the money on the mats. And I thought, man, what an experience that was. Because I had a couple homies who competed in that as well. And I know those had to be formative. If anything, also to the kind of you don't know what nature you're stepping into, especially with those tournaments where they were kind of done in their own little island. And, you know, having that experience, I think probably did come in handy when you kind of go into an enemy's den at 10th Planet Las Vegas. Like that is a very competitive room. I went there as a friendly podcaster just on a random day, and I had people trying to take my neck off, and I go, well, I don't, hey, listen, you can't do that, guys. Like, I
chill.
can. Everybody just chill out. I'm not here representing like a 180cc. I'm just a
Right.
regular practitioner. Then all of a sudden I'm like, that felt tough. But in that competitive environment, good people, good training, I'm pretty sure you felt right at home in that situation, though.
100%. That's kind of the vibe at Hustle BJJ. I'm sure my professor gets mad because you got the new guys coming in and then everyone just kills them. I'm like, man, be nice to the new guys. So, because, the white belts come in and they get past that beginner stage and then they get some fresh meat in there. And now the white belts and blue belts need to eat. I'm like, hey man, chill with the new guys. So everyone's doing better at that. But we kind of have that environment in our gym too. It's a good thing to have. You just gotta pick your roles wisely and be smart with the new guys. But it was the first guy I fought was from there, from 10th Planet Las Vegas. So it was definitely enemy territory, and he was talking a little bit. So it was good energy. Nothing I'm not used to. Football and going football and basketball going into you know opponents' home gyms on their homecomings, and you got to ball out. You got people yelling wild stuff in the stands. I think prepared me for that.
Definitely is something hard to teach people. But I will say, to your credit, when I've shown up at Hustle BJJ, I got the vibe that you get the roles you want. Like nobody really was being a dick to me. They just gave me good roles. And I thought, all right, that's kind of cool. And then I'm rolling with Gianni, and Gianni's like, no, but I'm going to be a dick to you. And I go, well, I came to interview you. So that's fine. I don't mind that if it's the guest. And my man threw a little bit of the kitchen sink at me, and it was okay. You did pretty well. But
Roll light, bro. Gianni don't roll light, and
so I learned very quickly. But
But they're not dicks, man.
No.
Like they're not dicks. They're really good people that just like to train hard. So I don't get they're not trying to hurt you. They're gonna roll hard and work on their technique, be pretty aggressive, but never like rude, disrespectful, kind of snobby. We come from Santa Ana, Garden Grove, so we're pretty humble and we know how to respect people. It's not like a snobby way. So I get what you're saying. I'm happy you got to experience that. People were good people, but just like to train hard.
And honestly, I'm so sorry. Can you remind me the gym owner's name at a Hustle BJJ?
Yeah, my professor since white belt, Russell Cantorna.
Okay, I believe I had the opportunity to roll with him, and it's not like it was a mean roll at all. He was probably the nicest to me, but it was so precise and it felt so good that I was like, oh, I'm not trying to go up to him and tell him you got to roll with me. Like, I'm a visitor here. And he came out of his way. And whenever people do that as a guest, I try to take note because I go, you don't have to do that. Like, this is your place. I'm just visiting. It's all good. Right at home. Like, made sure to be like, no, I want to roll with you. And then was making recommendations like, hey, man, roll with this guy and roll with this guy. And to me, that made me feel so welcomed because he was saying, like, if you're only coming here for a day, get a little bit of these sample platters and this guy and this guy. And then he's just like, and I'm just going to apologize in advance for Gianni. And I was like, I already know what to expect with him. I'm not worried about that. That's fine. And yeah, even to the day, I think Gianna and I still chirp at each other. But I was like, you can always just come train with me. And he's like, yeah, yeah. And I go, I'm just saying, So I sent him. He put up something that was like a pro wrestling thing, and he's so proud as a Mexican. And I was like, well, I am brown as well, sir. But I go, the little lucha stuff that you're putting up, I don't think you're as good as that. I don't think you're as good as that. And I was like, bro, you're kind of light enough where I might be able to power bomb you. Like, you're right at that weight class, but it's got to be like you just cut weight. I don't think I can power bomb you outright. And he's so funny because he just goes, all right, brother, why don't we do that? Let's run it. And I was like, you can come anytime. And I just go like, so we've formed a pretty good friendship over that. So at some point, he and I are gonna have to train.
We got some really good people there, man. Gianni's the man, but Hustle is one of a kind, man. My professor, he the same way you felt when you just visited one day, man. I felt like that for almost 7 years. He's so humble, he's selfless, so generous, so hospitable, man. He's I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Not just all the support he's given me, and a lot like he sponsored me since blue belt. He's allowed me to go earn all these medals. I couldn't afford half these tournaments, man. I was going to school full time and working on the weekend, and he saw something in me and believed in me since day one. And it's nice to be able to say I train at Hustle BJJ. I really say that with honor and pride because we have a special place that he's built, and I wouldn't be able to do it without him. And man, he's seriously one of a kind.
And I mean, he had good instincts because obviously you are continuing to make a name for yourself. You don't really stop. And I feel like as somebody who got to experience the elevated version of the PGF and knowing what I know about how they are continuing to build it up even more, I can tell you this. I'm so excited for you to experience this. Like, it is unlike anything else in jiu-jitsu right now. There's gonna be highs, there's gonna be lows, there's gonna be a lot. My advice to everybody is try to just enjoy the journey and recognize this just didn't exist. And the fact that it does will make your jiu-jitsu journey all the more unique. And you're gonna feel it from day one when you get drafted. So I'm gonna ask this because nobody thinks about this yet. Have you figured out how you're trying to dress for your draft day? Are you just going regular clothes? Is there a suit jacket involved? Are you showing up like this is the NBA? How are you showing up for draft day, sir?
Ooh, I never thought about that. I might have to bring the style, man. I might have to come suited and booted, ready to go. We're professionals. We're trying to make this sport mainstream, man. We got to act like it. So,
I just want to put it in your head because one of the first people who spoke to me last year was a guy named Cam Hurd. And Cam came with this really nice flower printed, very nice shirt. He stood out over almost everybody, maybe even edging my boy David Eggers, who showed up in a suit. And I go, oh, okay. And then you got Andy Varela, who's his own personality style. Like, whatever your style is, set forth day one, show us who you are. And part of that is going to be not just how you dress, how you carry yourself, how you want to get your TV time, because you want to make use of all of those things. So those are the things I'm trying to tell people, like, probably put some thought into it, but I think dress for however it is you want to show up. And if the version of you showing up is you basically are coming as an athlete, I don't know BMAX rules, but be you. I just know that those first impressions go a long way to a TV audience. And my wife was watching we were watching the Aaron Hernandez TV movie, and she was asking me, she's like, wait, why was he at home? And then I have to get into, I'm like, well, some people, they get drafted, they're there in person. Some people, they do the home cameras. And then some people are just at home. Like, I'm not as big as Tom Brady. I'm not going to get called like Cam Newton. Like, I'm just hoping somebody calls my agent and makes this deal go through. So when she asked that, I realized I was like, oh, right, at PGF, you're right there. You're in the audience. You get people bidding on you, and you get people telling you numbers and figures, and it all hits you a little bit different than just going to a tournament and being in a bullpen. So I feel like now that you got time to think about it, figure it out, because I will tell you this, we at the pre and post shows will likely be judging the best and the worst dressed. So I say that to let you know all those things ahead of time, sir.
Awesome, man. I'm gonna dress for success, brother. But we'll see how this next month goes, what the vibe is going in, and we'll figure out what message I'm trying to send. But honestly, man, I want to be myself and be organic and let myself show. I'm not the most like like I said earlier about the dudes yelling and talking all this crazy stuff, man, I'm honestly more humble and professional and like to let my jiu-jitsu talk. But if people start talking, and I'll talk back, I'm not scared of that. But honestly, my message has always been just, man, work hard and get better every day. So we'll see how this next month goes, and we'll see what I can come up with. But
Okay.
I'm gonna let it flow as well. I don't want to be all like,
That's the
med-
extent of what I'm telling you, brother. I'm not in charge of any of that stuff. I just like to give people their heads up and their warnings. Why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and put a button on this right now, because I'm going to see you in a month's time, but I'm going to put the camera on you, sir. Go ahead and give shout outs to any sponsors, to anybody who's been helping you get ready, and to anybody you'd like to. The floor is all yours, sir.
All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for watching this episode. I just want to give a quick shout out to my home gym, Hustle BJJ, Russell Cantorna, my professor, Checkmat La Habra, Professor Lucas Leitch has been looking out for me since day one as well. I want to give a shout out to Represent Clothing. Look at that. Boom. It's like mirrored, so I can't really point too
No,
well.
you got it. It comes through the right way.
Okay. All righty. And also just Roll Payments. Roll Payments is it's a membership software for your academy. So if you ever need help with getting a system processor for your academy for billing, you can go to Roll Payments as well. And check us out here in Garden Grove at Down Jiu-Jitsu. If you have some kids in the area, we're really trying to build champions on and off of the mat and just let them have fun with jiu-jitsu from day one. Thank you to my wife, Dory Aoun, for all the support, my friends and family, and all my teammates and supporters. Let's keep going. We're just getting started. I hope to do some big things in this sport.
Dory, big congratulations to you, man. Like I said, when I saw your name on the list of participants, I just thought, there's a good chance I'm going to interview this guy again. There's a good chance something good happens out of this, and you did the work. And like I said, you made history as the first person to come back, and it's not a surprise to me that you had the endurance and the stamina to be able to do it, and you pulled it off in spectacular fashion. So congratulations to you, sir. I look forward to seeing you for a week. More than anything, you want people who are good at jiu-jitsu, but I think what you're going to find is it's also kind of a fun hang. Like, obviously you're there to do work and all that, but the people that Brandon McCatherine brings together for the crew, the people behind the scenes, a lot of those people, like, just top tier human beings. So I think we're going to try and make it as fun as possible. And I think you got a preview of some of those guys over the week, but we're very much looking forward to having you, sir.
Let's do it, brother. Thanks for bringing me on again, man. It's nice. It's always nice catching up with you. We stay in touch on Instagram, but it's always nice to do it formally here on the Grappling Hour, brother. So really appreciate all the support and for giving me a platform to express myself. So thanks a lot, brother.
Absolutely, sir. And I like I said, we'll do probably the next one in person, but we gotta keep going. You gotta do 12 different things. You got to be 12 different places, and you got to be prepped for PGF. So we'll do one of the next ones in person. But Dory, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for coming on today, my man.
Thanks, brother.
All right, you guys, that's going to do it for us here at the Grappling Hour. Before we let you go, a couple quick reminders. First and foremost, if you like this show, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you don't know what you want to comment on right now, why don't you tell us the most foul trash you have ever heard someone say at a competition? This one didn't even approach it, honestly. I just heard some funny things on the replays and on some of the clips I saw from the PGF qualifier, but why don't you tell us what those things are? You can also find us on patreon.com/grappling hour. $5 a month, see the interviews 30 days before anybody else, and for a few extra dollars, extra bonus content not available anywhere else, including tape studies, Roast Raff, a place where people roast my competition footage, and extra audio episodes and visual episodes that I don't publish anywhere else. You can also find us Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Be sure to rate and review. That really does help us. And go to raffesparza.com/merch to get you some official Grappling Hour hoodies and t-shirts. And last but not least, go check us out on our Discord to continue the conversations we have here on the show. Ladies and gents, that's going to do it for us here at the Grappling Hour. My name is Rafa Sparza. It has been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.